right, so I am going live, and this is very raw. I just had a weird little whim. I was painting something just for me today. I do paint so many lessons and teaching so often. Sometimes I just want to experiment and have some fun in the studio. So today, I didn't announce this or anything, so I have no idea if anybody will even tune into this, but if you do, feel free to chat. I'm doing a gouache painting of a butterfly. It's a photo of a butterfly I took while I was with my mom. And some of you may know, if you're a subscriber on my channel, that my mom passed away, back in May of this past year. And we had a beautiful trip to a museum, and I snapped all of these pictures of these butterflies that were in these glass cases, and they were just so beautiful. And so I thought, you know what? I have these iridescent gouache paints, and I had never, well, I used them one time and didn't work real great, but someone recommended that I try using them on black paper. And it's this black paper I've used on many of my tutorials that is from Arteza, and I fell in love with this paper. Sorry if there's a glare. It's ideal for acrylic and oil painting and gouache painting, and I've used it actually to create pastel paintings in quite a few of my past tutorials. But I love this little 6 by 6 square size. It receives the medium beautifully, and so I'm just having fun with this gouache. And what I have recorded the previous footage of this, and I do hope to make it a full tutorial. So I've got my little plastic palette and put some paints in. Again, I show all of this. I've got some music playing in the background too. I hope YouTube doesn't have a problem with that, but it plays a commercial occasionally. So what I'm doing is kind of negatively painting. I painted in the background to kind of section off the butterfly. And now I'm just real loosely getting in some of the colors. And then I think I may go ahead and add pastel to it. I have some beautiful iridescent pastels made by Mount Vision. Oh, they just sparkle. I don't know if they show up here. Let me look. Oh, they just sparkle and sparkle. And hopefully that, oh, hey, I see somebody. Hi, Mary. See, this is cool. I really need to go live more often. Comment on that. Let me know if you're okay with live footage being this raw and this random. You never know. My husband may just walk in. I had to close the door because he was on the phone and being so loud. And I do live near a busy road, so sometimes you'll hear a crazy truck. All right, so this is dry that I've done so far, and these little teal blue colors, they were some of this iridescent gouache. You see that? Isn't that pretty? So I'm just kind of mixing colors together to create the colors that I need, and having lots of fun. All right, so where was I? I'm gonna leave this really loose. I don't want this butterfly to look like an illustration or total realism. But there are some things that you do kind of have to get accurate, the basic anatomy, to have it look right. But what I need to do now is the same thing that I did on this side. I got in some of my yellows, and this butterfly has, let's see if you can see that in the picture. Yeah. Does this allow me to zoom in? Let me see if I can zoom in anymore here. Yeah, look at that. Okay, that's going to help you guys a lot. I'm going to try to zoom in a little more. Pardon the shakiness. This is the stuff I usually edit out. All right, so now that's a little better. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to be doing now is getting in some of these red colors here. And when I paint often, I mean, I like to talk. You guys tell me that all the time on my channel. You're so chatty, but it's because I'm teaching. And but when I paint, I often just like to enjoy the moment and the piece. So again, I hope YouTube doesn't have a problem with the fact that I have some music playing in the background. That's just off of a Pandora station. This is a Princeton Velvet Touch brush. It's a round number 8. I like this brush because it comes to a really nice point. Look at that. Oh, somebody said something. I missed it. Sorry. Sorry if I can't jump back and see what you guys are saying, but I don't have a helper in here. All right, so I've mixed a little bit of this orangey color and the yellow, or a red. It's kind of a red and a yellow. And I'm sort of negatively painting. I'm looking at where the black little dots are here, and kind of just layering. Now that's the neat thing about gouache, unlike watercolor, is you can kind of layer like with pastels. Gouache is more opaque. It behaves a lot like acrylic paint. So I've put the yellow down, and you can layer a bit, that's too strong. You can layer a bit with watercolor, but you can't get the light back. Once you put down something dark, you can't really put like white watercolor over it. It just doesn't work. All right, so I'm just getting a little red in there. And I have a big kind of a black mark right in there, but I have it too big, so I do love gouache paint. I love a lot of mediums, by the way, and I've gotten kind of just known for the pastel medium, but there's really a lot that I love. But this is peaceful to me. Let me know if it's peaceful to you just to watch somebody paint, kind of in the spirit of Bob Ross. And also too, like I said, make a comment if you'd like to see more live. This is how I'm gonna have to operate live, is just having it really nonchalant and chilled out, which is really what I need in my life right now. What I found fascinating were these iridescent little areas of the teal. So I'm gonna really try to capture that. Now what I did for this part, the butterfly was kind of brownish down here and more blackish up here. So I've got a little bit of, I think it's burnt sienna and raw umber to create kind of those brown colors. So, and you can see I'm all over the place with these. I just find little spots where I can mix up there. And I need to add a little bit more of that in here. I think this is too light. Yep, it is. So to darken something, like I said, I mixed a little bit of this raw umber and burnt sienna. Watch what I do to darken it. See, that's too light here. Looks dark on the white, right? But next to the black background here, it doesn't. I've got a little bit of ultramarine blue here. If you add ultramarine blue to like a raw umber or even a burnt sienna, it's going to get darker. Okay, that's just a great way to make a dark. So I need a little more dark in here. See how dark that is now? And this came in. I'm looking at the shapes. Really, that's all it is. Don't get too hung up on, oh, I gotta paint a butterfly and get, crazy into all the details. Just look at some of the negative shapes, and before you know it, you just tune out, and you're having fun. This is a little darker in there, and then I'm just kind of pulling up to give an indication of some of those ribs that are in there. And I'm still on the fence about whether or not I'm going to add pastels or not, because I really am liking this. Now on their little the little ribs to their wings, the top of it has a little highlight, and then just underneath it, just like a valley would do on a mountain, it gets a little darker down in the valley. Like I see, here's one here, and it gets a little darker right down there, and then it gets a little darker. I'm having a hard time seeing where they are. Like right down in here. There's the rib, yeah. And you don't have to have them everywhere. Art, a lot of art is just about suggesting things. The brain figures the rest out. We have these amazing brains. Okay, let's see. There's a little more dark underneath this wing. A little weird little patterns. Sometimes I feel like I sound like Bob Ross. I hope you guys can even hear me okay. I've only done live streams for a private audience. I haven't done them, I don't think I've ever done it public on YouTube here. And it's probably because I feel like I have to be perfect with it and have everything all set up. And you know what? Today, I just don't even care. How about that? Sometimes too, when you apply a wet medium like this, it's just by nature going to look a little darker because it's wet. and sometimes it'll dry a little lighter. I gotta back up and take a look at that. Let me see here. Oh, there's somebody. Cindy, hi. Aw, look at you guys. Now, see, I definitely want to do live stream more. Thank you, Cindy. That's so sweet. Okay, now I back up a lot so that I can see things, and I can see what I added here. When I added that ultramarine blue, it was too blue. So I'm gonna warm it up a little bit here. To warm it up, you just grab a warmer color. This area right here was too blue. Yeah, now that's gonna definitely warm it up. Okay, so, and what I'm trying to do here is to not get too carried away with any one area. I want to get the basics in. I'm going to just move wing to wing. And once again, this isn't like it's a field and some trees, and you do have to get some things kind of correct. So I think I want to go ahead just like I did here and get in some of this little parts of the wing that come off. I don't know my butterfly anatomy. But what I did here is I created it with the iridescent. I believe this is an iridescent. I use gouache in tubes, obviously. But gouache is a lot like watercolor in that even if it dries, you can still use it. It's its most brilliant and the best when it's still in the wet form. But I'm not as worried about these drying up as I would say acrylic paint. Acrylic paint dries pretty fast. Oil paint, you got a little more leeway. This is a paint called, it's one of the pearlescent pearl eucalyptus. The company Arteza sent me these for a product review. The set of, let me go ahead and get the box and show you. It's a set of metallic gouache, okay? This is what the box looks like. And it has 12 of them. And so that was my little whim today. Let's play with these metallic gouache. But this one's called eucalyptus, and it's just a nice, just a barely eucalyptus color. It's almost white. And so I'm mixing it with some of this, what's this one called? This one's called Pearl Aqua Blue. And I actually really enjoy mixing color. You don't get to do it quite the same way with soft pastel, but there was a little bit of color mixing. Okay, so what was I doing here? I was going down to this one. Yeah, see that? See how pretty that is? So I know that these little tail things coming off the tail, they're light, but I don't want to make them too light. And they have kind of like a dark little line going through them. So I'm going to just try to keep that little bit of that dark line. Oh, it does have that nice little pearl feel. And the tips of them are black. And then some of these have, you probably can't see it in the photo, almost like a little white border to them. I'm going to reserve that kind of to the end. And maybe do that with something lighter. And I'm trying to keep soft edges. I don't want this to look, like I said, illustrative or too realistic. I mean, it does kind of look realistic a little bit already, but there's a little light here. This is that, like that light edge. I'm not going to do it right now, but it goes all around the little edges of this. And I think it had to do with my camera when I took the picture, because it wasn't illuminated from the back or anything. Now I noticed that, oh, let me get this one down here. I noticed this one's a little more green in the middle. I noticed that the colors, that now, in these kind of iridescent blues were more teal. These were more green, and then they gradually get more teal up here. So I'm always just kind of paying attention to colors and things. Okay, so let's see. Oh, I was doing this one down here. See, that's the problem with doing the live and talking. It's like I lose my train of thought. There, see, you hear the road outside my house. My husband and I have lived in this house for 4 years after our other house flooded. Some of you, if you've been a subscriber for a long time, you kind of know the saga. In 2017, our home flooded. I'm talking really flooded. And to give you an idea of how much it flooded, the Weather Channel, the Weather Channel posted a picture of our house on their site after the flood. So who's that guy that does the Weather Channel? You always say you don't want him to show up at your house. But anyway, so we moved into this kind of temporary living situation that was not supposed to be for 4 years. But, you know, what are you going to do? We have a home. We've got some land we're trying to build a house on. And the thing I'm looking forward to at the new place is it's not on a busy road like this. And so I don't have to worry so much when I'm trying to create videos. Um, and it has fast Wi-Fi out there. I have really slow Wi-Fi here. Okay, add a little more green down here. And all I do is I just grab little bits and I just kind of mix it. And I love all those little patterns in there. And notice most of them I've created more by painting negatively. That means by painting the color around the little dots. And I think negative painting is really fun. Okay, you know, I've probably done about enough, like I said, just to get the general idea here. And I'm gonna move on. I might get a little bit of this body. I noticed the body, it's very dark, but it's got these little hints, these little subtle hints of like a really deep, gorgeous blue. And by the way, I do have a thing of water here, and I like to use a large container of water so that I don't have to change my water quite so often. It is important if you want fresh color to have clean water, and I keep paper towels near me. I know you can't see everything I'm doing, but I'm often controlling my water if I get too much on the brush and I know it's going to just be runny. And these things just come the more you do it, you know? Oh man, did I make so many mistakes. Whew, when I was starting out with painting, I made them all. So I think that's why I like to teach. So I can tell you guys what not to do. Anyway, so this beautiful blue that's in this butterfly, I have this one blue here, and it's part of another Arteza gouache set. They sent me their set of 60, and their products are really affordable, and they are considered artist grade, most of them. So let me show you that set. It's this set of 60 watercolors made by, not watercolors, I got the wrong one, sorry. All right, here's the right one. I have too many things out here. It's their set of 60 gouache colors. And so the one that I'm going to use now is called a Prussian blue. And it is kind of a real pretty blue-green. Here it is. It's this one down here. It's got a little bit more of a blue-greenish color to me. You can compare the two here with the ultramarine blue. Let me show you that. Ultramarine blue is right here. See that blue? As compared to Prussian blue. Look at that color. Oh my gosh. You see that? I don't know why. I just love that color so much. So I'm going to kind of mix a little bit of both of these. Like I said, the butterfly's body is pretty dark. And, but it has that little, see, that's too blue. I think I do need more of the Prussian. Yeah, okay. And once again, I can layer color with gouache, whereas I would never do this with watercolor. If I thought I might want to lighten it up a bit, ooh, I would not put the darkest dark down first. And then there's a little bit of that brown in there in his body too. So I'm gonna make kind of a dark brown using that raw sienna, some burnt sienna, and some ultramarine blue. And again, your color mixing will come as you do more. And I always say, do a lot of little studies. That's the best way to learn. And when you do a study, you're not as worried about messing up. Okay, so it had a little brown in his body. There's a little bit of this brown, and it's a little lighter down there, but I'll lighten that up. And I want to keep soft edges to this. I don't want any hard, crisp edges, except in areas where I want a focal point. Our eyes go to stark edges, and a butterfly is soft anyway. So That's one of the reasons too. Now it does have a little bit of this, a hint of that green in it too. So let me just maybe grab some of this right here. Oh, I still got the brown in there. I'm rinsing, and then I'm just getting some of that water off on a paper towel. I'm getting a little bit of this green here. I don't remember what this green was called. Maybe I'll mix it with a little of that pearl color. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. A little bits of highlights of this even on the body. And then little bits on the head. The head I am going to have to define a little bit more by the negative shapes. I think his head comes up a little higher than I have it, but I'll pull in some negative painting when I'm done and develop that a little more. Okay, and then he's got, yeah, look at this little bits of this green in here. This is so peaceful. By the way, this is what I usually do when I'm creating for a video. Rather than wrestling with the road noise and everything trying to talk, I just paint and I put on some nice music. And oh, it's so nice. More of that Prussian blue here. I want to get a little bit more of that pretty color in there. Ah, music. I guess YouTube's not having a problem with that. I'm playing Pandora. It's called Romantic Instrumental. All right, now I'm going to start, instead of getting too nutty with the body, I'm going to start on these other wings, but I am going to get, one moment, station break. I am going to get me a sip of coffee. Yes, that makes the moment better. It's Monet Cafe, right? But gotta hydrate, so I've got my water here with some vinegar, apple cider vinegar, and lemon juice. Okay, I'm better now. Okay, now I'm gonna move on to this wing. And this is one of those paintings that, you know, they're much more enjoyable when they're done as a speed painting because there's a lot of little tedious things in here. But sometimes people just like to watch this just to relax. All right, so I like all these little, it's a combination of blues and greens in there. These are little teeny marks. So that's why this brush is really good. So I'm gonna first get, I think I'll get this pearlescent color. It's a little lighter, but it's gonna help me to see it. And what it is these little patterns or lines that kind of curve around and have little shapes. So I'm probably gonna have to be a little quiet at this point here. Probably should zoom in even more. How about that? Let me do that. Let's go over here. Yeah, can you guys see that better now? Get in even closer. And my camera is shaking a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit of this Prussian blue here because I think my little pearlescent color is a little bit too light. So I'm looking, and it comes down here, little lines. Oh, I love this song. And then I've got this that's kind of, it starts to change shapes. Come down, and then it's out. Like that. And I got another one right here. And if these aren't all perfect, it's fine. We're getting once again, a suggestion. And these are so little. If I was doing pastel with this, I'd probably just create like a little light glaze to do this and then negatively paint into it. Then there's kind of a space and they go up a little more. Like I said, it's got a little bit more green in it, so I'm going to add a little bit of this Prussian blue, probably a little bit of this green. I think, is that called Viridian green? I think it is. Yeah, okay. And it's lighter, so I'm going to put, this might be too light, but it's a little bit of this pretty yellowy green. Yeah, that probably did it. Man, you don't need a lot of paint with this, that's for sure, because it's such teeny little marks. You see how that's green? I don't know if it shows up on the filming or not, but it's these little marks. So it's a combination of green and teal. And then I'm looking at this one right here. Oh, you can't see it now, I've zoomed in. I'm gonna pull back a little bit. I'm looking at, I'll turn it a little bit so you can see it. I don't want to zoom out too much. There we go. All right, I'm looking at this one here, and I'm just getting a general idea in the scheme of things where it is. Probably should get that one in first, and then I can measure it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make some marks about where this one is. Put a little bit more of that light green in there. I need a little more water. When it starts to feel like it's sticking on the surface, that's when you gotta add more water. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is get this one in. I see that it's the way where the green starts is kind of just after that V, and then it comes in a little bit. So I'm constantly making these little proportional judgments. This is maybe a little dark, but that's okay. And it's got one of those little ribs that's gonna be coming through this. So I'm trying to pay attention to that. And this one has on the other side of the rib, it's got a little bit of the light, a highlight on it. And this general angle kind of goes like that. So that's kind of how I'm going to have to make these marks go. And if you're new at painting and all this is intimidating and it's, well, what do I do? Just paint something. I always like to say, be like a kid and just have some fun. Start painting. Don't feel like it's got to be a masterpiece, because when you first start, it's not. Don't expect it. And just have some fun. It's supposed to be fun. I'm so glad that I've, over the years, developed just the attitude that the value in painting for me is more about the experience and the fact that I get to share it with people than with what the final product is, and if I'm gonna sell it or whatever. I mean, I do sell my work, but I really like the fact that I can just share it with others. I think, let me see here. Like that. Yeah, this comes up even more. This goes more like that. And then there's one like right on top of it. You see how I'm just leaving kind of those little ridges? And another thing too, it's kind of like pastel. Don't feel like this has to be your final finished color. I'm going to come back over some of these and add little highlights or areas that are dark. Now you see, now that I've gotten some of this in, I probably could have gone in a little bit more there. I can get an idea of where this one is that I had talked about. I've got a frame of reference. Oops, I got a little close there. It's going to go up, and it's going to curve over into there. So I got that in the right place. Sometimes you can measure things too. I'm going to measure it from the head to that is about one brush. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty darn close. Okay, so I'm in the ballpark. Now, some of you may know I don't paint this specifically a lot of times with certain landscapes and things. I might need a little more water. It looks like a little blob type of a creature. You know how we see shapes in clouds and stuff? That's a good way to do with when you're sketching things out, is forget what the thing is and just paint the shape. Then I've got some more of these little shapes kind of coming up in here. Now I'm going to work on this next one here. And I don't have my colors, you know, exactly like what they're showing here, but this is my road map. This one's starting to get a little more green in it, so I'm going to add a little bit of that green, a little bit of this green right here. So I'm using the pearlescent, whatever that aqua, pearl aqua blue, a little bit of the Prussian blue, and a little bit of the green, the light green here. Okay. Let's see, where does it ends right about here. And I'm just looking at all these little ridges here. Something like that. Close enough. And then it has a little tail thing. Goes down and up. Maybe I should turn this music up louder. I'm gonna turn the music up just a little louder since obviously I'm able to keep it on. Isn't that nice? Sorry, as I'm walking, it's shaking the floor. All right, so now we've got this one in. Probably could have come down and up a little bit more there, but that's okay. I've got these coming down here that are really a little bit more of that pretty pearlescent bluish color. So I'm going with the Prussian blue, and I'm going with the pearl. Ooh, that's so pretty. Okay, so this kind of curves around a little bit like that. So, and it's still got that little, it's following those ridges, so they have kind of these little motion to them. And then one kind of here. I think I got some of these a little bit too close to the wing too soon, but okay. Those have a little more green in them. We'll get little bands right up in here. Okay, I'm following this ridge now. I know right where I left that break, there's that little ridge there. So I'll bring this in here, and then there's more going on either side of that. And then they start to change kind of the direction they're going in. These are the ones that really start to get green over here, which I'll add a little more green in a little while. That little guy right there comes out on that same little section. And it is more green. I'm going to add a little bit more of the green. And then there's one more that comes like right down here. One more larger one. Right about there. And then there's one where that ridge is that comes kind of like that. All right, so I can come in there and add some of the colors that I think are better afterwards. But this is a little different, right? Two things different. I'm painting three things different. I'm painting with gouache. I am painting a subject matter I don't normally paint with. And I have it live on YouTube. Man, what kind of mood was I in today? All right, now I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. So just watch and enjoy. Hello. Oh, you guys. Oh, you're on my comments all the time, SA. Sometimes I don't know what your name is because you'll have a little abbreviation or some little name on your YouTube profile. So, but I know who you are because of the frequency of how you comment. So, hello everyone. I've been over here painting and not looking at the comments. All right, so I'm going to do the same general idea over here. And you know, I feel like what this is missing right now is I'm being so specific. I'm losing my gestural marks. To me, I'm always trying to get better at this. It's the sign of a true artist when they can just, have you ever seen the artist? They just go, boop, and it just looks like it's in the perfect spot. And it has energy to it because you didn't do it like this, all cinched up. Gosh, I'm glad you guys can't see my face right now. I am literally, I got out of bed, I made some breakfast for my husband, and I got in the studio and said, this is going to be my day to paint whatever I want. But yeah, back to the gestural marks. They're the marks that usually are they're quicker and they have life to them. I need to get a little bit lighter here. Like, still not light enough. Let me get a little bit more of that lighter green and that pearlescent. And then this one, same thing, still not light enough. Okay, there we go, getting better. This one went more like. This one I had drawn in a little sketch to this section, which really could be a good idea. The rest of it I just kind of was winging it, but no pun intended. But I used a white charcoal pencil, and see how it definitely makes it easier for me to find where I'm painting. Find the areas that I'm painting. Again, this is just to get in the first general colors. And that is, once again, one of the beauties of gouache is that you can layer it. Okay, getting there. And this background was a combination of, let me see, it was like the sky blue color I used with some lilac and I think some ultramarine blue. But what I did, I didn't want it was so vibrant. I neutralized it by using some of this raw umber color. By the way, that's a way you can always neutralize a color if you don't want it so dramatic or high chroma, high intensity. You just get one of your earthy colors and mix in with it, and it neutralizes it. So I think I'll probably neutralize it even more when I go to work more on the background. All right, where was I? All right, let's see here, getting in some of these. And you guys can see, probably noticed, I'm a lefty, but I often, I put my camera on this side of me almost always because I feel you can see better rather than my arm getting in the way. But every so often, something is easier for me to get to with my right hand, and I'll switch. So are there any other lefties out there? I find that when you're left-handed, you are pretty much forced to learn to use your right hand because we're in a right-handed world. When I was young, they didn't have any left-handed scissors, so I had to learn to cut with my right hand, and just various things like that. I've had to figure it out over the years. So I had on the Patreon page, any patrons out there, shout out. On the Patreon page, I had a lesson that was on painting with your non-dominant hand. And what's interesting is a lot of people found that their paintings had more energy and movement because they didn't have quite so much control, and it had a freshness to it. So it's a really good exercise to try that. Probably should pay attention to what I'm doing here. This is a nice day. I don't know what it's like in your part of the world, but I'm in the Tampa, Florida area, and we had some 28-degree weather a couple of days ago, and it was awesome. It was great, but it's a lot when you have to live in it all the time. But then we got in 85-degree weather, and I saw something funny. It said, Florida, the only place you can get frostbite and sunburn in the same day. That's kind of what it's like. But today, that was my point. Today is very, oh, see, that's got some more of that pearlescent in there. Can you see that? Let me see if I can zoom in more. See if it'll sparkle. I'll zoom in a little bit more here. Sorry while I move my camera. Okay, hi. Look at that. Iconic. Abood. Hi. Sorry, I'm not getting to say hey to you guys a lot because I'm over here painting. But this is that pearlescent blue. Watch me put a little down. Can you see that? Maybe I can zoom in even more and then I'll zoom back out. I got to remember to do this. Tell you what, sometimes being a one-man show or a one-girl show is not easy. Okay, I'm zooming in just temporarily, pardon the shake, just so you can see this pearlescent blue. I'm gonna get a little bit more of it. There it is right there, okay? And I'm just gonna put a little bit, see? Oh, it's so pretty. Let me put a little bit more here. There's just a few little marks of it kind of on the wing. You know what? Nature is amazing. I think if you like art, you know, you got to be a huge fan of nature. And I love how nature has these beautiful patterns that are, they're patterned, but they're still spontaneous and beautiful. All right, I got to zoom back out before I forget. Okay, here we go. And by the way, if you've popped in here and you haven't subscribed yet, that would be awesome. Okay, let me pull this down just a little bit. All right, so once again, gouache paint is really cool. If you've never heard of gouache, you pronounce it like squash. And I really love it. To me, it's a cross between watercolor and acrylic. All right, now I have gotten in some of these general shapes here. I think what I'm going to do now, am I missing anything? I'm going to get a little bit more of these just little highlights here. This came out kind of dark right there. So I'm just going to make just a couple little marks there. And they don't have to be perfect. Just get the general gesture and motion of it. And you don't even have to spell it all out. I think there'd be a little more down in here. This pearlescent just kind of makes it shine. It's kind of neat. Okay, all right, now let's see, what am I gonna do? Even though it's really black in here, it still needs something. This is lighter, obviously, than up here, but it still needs some color because that's just totally the black of that paper showing through. I like working on black paper. It really forces you to create negative or learn how to paint negatively. Now let me kind of check and see how. Yeah, that's pretty good. And a lot of times these dry lighter. So I may want to get it even a little, and now sometimes if you want it even a little darker, let me just mix, this is where I had my dark before. Ultramarine blue. I'm going to use this raw umber here. Okay, that kind of neutralizes it so it doesn't look so blue. And then even though this isn't a red, just a little bit of this color even makes it a little bit darker, maybe a little bit more of this. Okay, see that? That's really dark, but now it's probably too dark now. Don't know, maybe not. Probably good. Okay, now I'm gonna start getting some of these little shapes in here. You can often go in and correct, even if like one of these shapes isn't right, you can kind of negatively paint around it. Oh, I'm still tempted to maybe add pastels to this when I'm done. And by the way, a way you can do that is by putting clear gesso on this surface. Clear gesso is a product that allows you to make your own pastel surface. I'm sorry for that commercial there. I think this is like a glare in the glass under that I was on the butterfly that made it light, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with it. But clear gesso has little bits of sand in it, and it allows the pastels to stick. Okay, I better quit talking here so I can get my little things right. I'm just following along where I think some of these little ridges are. Just kind of breaking it up a little bit. Again, I'm just giving the indication of these. And see where there's a ridge there? Like I said, the peak of it, like a mountain, is going to be lighter, and down in the valley, it's going to be darker. So it's the same thing with the black sections of it, like right in there. So wherever it's kind of curved in like that, I'm going to make it a little darker in the valley. Right in there. And then it'll be the same thing, but not with this color there. And then going on up into there. And it looks like these get bluer as you get further out. Golly, it's amazing how many gorgeous colors are in butterfly. And I took so many pictures of these butterflies, all different kinds. And I've just for the longest time dreamed of taking a moment to just paint some. And today was the day. But I have lots more. So I'd like to play around with. And by the way, the theme this month in the Monet Cafe Art Group is water. I call it Water, Water Everywhere. So if you're one of my patrons, I just uploaded on my Patreon page a little thing I call Story Time. And Story Time is a neat thing that we do where I read from different art books that I really like. And then I give my own little spin on it, my own little lesson. And we learned how to create reflections in a really easy way. It was like super, super easy. And some of you guys I've seen, you've already put it in the homework album. And that's awesome. I love seeing your work. I'm just kind of giving some shapes. One thing I did like too is this little ridge type of outer edge to the butterfly. All right, is that looking like something? I hope so. It's just little shapes, that's all it is. I'm gonna back up. Okay. And I think I'll get me a sip of coffee. So if you guys are watching and you have some coffee with you, this is a coffee mug my mama got me. She was going through cancer and I went there to be with her. And that was in Gainesville, Florida, where her treatments were. And then, oh, you know what? Here's what's interesting. The coffee mug and the picture of the butterfly came from the same place. We went to an art museum in Gainesville, Florida, and I saw, and it was like a natural history museum and art. So I snapped all these pictures of the butterfly, and we went to this little gift shop that had all of these art pieces from local artists. And these beautiful cups were there. And I bought one for my mom, and I think one for my niece, and I didn't buy one for myself. And my mom went back in and bought one for me. So that's very special to me. So, all right, I'll be quiet and take a sip of coffee. Oh man, I love days like this. It's a little cloudy outside. I really love when it's raining outside and I can paint. Okay, now I'm looking at some of these really iridescent greens. Before I get too much more in, I'm going to go ahead and get some of that color in there. And I think I want to leave this really loose. Maybe I'll let you guys decide on whether or not I add pastels to this. I'm almost afraid to because I'm really liking the gouache. All right, so the wings have this pretty green in it, and I really like this color green, but it's a little too green, okay? It's a little too light if I add that right there. So I think I'm gonna darken it up by a little bit of that pearlescent to keep it pearly. Let's see what that does. This might be a little wet. And it's a little lighter, like I said, on the ridges, and I'm squinting my eyes. That's a great way to be able to see things. Okay, so like I said before, let me see if I can get a fine, let me do the back of my brush here. the ridge, I've left it blank here, just that's the paper. Okay, the ridge is a little bit lighter, which I'll add that later. Then where that goes down in that groove, it's a little darker right there as it goes down into the valley. And then in this little section, it's a little bit lighter, kind of in the middle section there. So that's what I'm noticing. So I still needed a little lighter, maybe even more of that pretty green. All right, let's see what this looks like now. Go even lighter. It is lighter than, you know what I'm going to do? That's why I got two of these different pearlescent gouache colors. I'm going to get this green right here. I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to get some of that eucalyptus. If you've been watching this a while, I put down this eucalyptus. It's almost a white. And if I get it thin enough, it might give me that look that I'm, see that? That's it, but I feel like it's a little lack of color, so I'm going to add a little bit of that pearlescent into it. Okay, let's see if this is it. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's nice. My paint's a little thick, so let me just add a little bit of water. Dab it just a little bit. And I don't want to, when things are light, we instantly think we're going to add white. And I mean, sometimes that works. But when you add white, you dull the color. So if you can try to find a brighter color, like that bright green that I have here, I'm going to even add more of that to it. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. Okay. There we go. And this is what I was saying about how we can layer with gouache. Like I said, I just went on a whim today and decided I was just going to go live. I didn't announce it, nothing. This is all just very impromptu. But you know, sometimes that's how I like to operate. I think sometimes life just feels too, you know, regimented and structured, and I like to be able to just do things on a whim. Now these up here have a little bit more of that aqua pearlescent color, so I'm going to get a little more of those. And this is really fun for me because I am literally just playing right now with new products, new experiences, new friends. I made a new Monet Cafe logo. Before, I think it was Life is Better or Art with Friends or something like that. And over the years, since this concept of Monet Cafe has developed, I like the spirit of the group. I like just the camaraderie and how it has been an escape from this crazy world when everybody was arguing about the dumbest things. And I just love how in our art group, it was this little sanctuary, you know? And so I made the logo, or the slogan, Live, Love, Paint. And I just thought that's kind of what we've been doing lately, you know? Just living through all this, loving each other, and painting at the same time. Man, that's a good thing. All right, you see how I'm kind of building some of these iridescent colors on top? I don't think I have all of my patterns exactly right, but that's all right. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing over here. That one has a little bit of that green and a little bit of that turquoise. Fun. I do think I need a little bit more of a edge here. I can come in and do that negatively too. back up here and look. Well, it looks like a butterfly. Thank goodness, right? Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more to this body. Let me see, I've got the actual photo up here too. Sometimes when you print things out, you don't get the best light. If you can see it, oh, my iPad is so dirty. And you got a glare there. Whoops, let me go back to it. Okay, maybe you can see it. The body has almost like a little highlight going down. And I think these things here, these are obviously the legs. You know, this is a butterfly that is under glass. So that's kind of the poor little fella, his deceased legs hanging out. So I'm not going to do those. But I got to zoom in enough to see there are these little ridges there. And I'm going to do kind of the same concept as I mentioned with these ridges. I'm going to get something that's just a little bit lighter. I'm going to go with it's still all very dark, okay? So I just wanted a little hint lighter. I think I'll just go ahead and just go with those two colors. I don't think I need any of that blue. Let's see what it looks like here. So this little part right here. And then it's also got the little colors in there too. And this curves over. It's a round object, you know, or a curved object. Okay. So now I'm going to get a little bit, there's like that little highlight. So I think I'm going to get, it's very warm. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get some of this. And then I think I'm going to get some of this pearlescent, just because it's light. I don't want it too light. I mean, it's a highlight, but it's not white. Let's see what that does. It's almost a little pinkish. All right, let's see here. There's a little ridge right there, and then there's that. Yeah, that's the perfect color. And I know this is small. It's hard for y'all to see. Y'all, can you tell I'm a Southerner? I have some people comment on my Southern accent, but I feel like I've lost it over the years. But my whole family's all from the mountains of Western North Carolina in the mountains. It's a beautiful place. I love it there. Okay, you see that little highlight? Okay, now let's see. I do want to, this is all a little mucky right in here. I do need to go ahead and kind of develop that a little bit more. Oh, I need to add a couple more of those little blues in there, or highlighty colors in there. A little of that aqua, what was it called again? Aqua blue, the pearl color in the gouache. Now I didn't put the cap on that good, so I don't want it to dry out. And by the way, if you ever squeeze paint out of a tube and you just let it kind of stick out a little bit and you put the cap back on, it will glue itself shut. So make sure you clean it off before you put the caps back on again. I have had that happen when I was just, like right now, I didn't put the cap on right. When I just got into painting and I wasted paint. So that's just a little tip. Okay, so I'm going back in here. I'm gonna get a little bit more. I noticed that this one, I need to bring this in a little more. There were a couple more little marks in there. Oh, just love that color. Okay, so now it's something I'm just having fun. I'm gonna go away from what I said I was gonna do down here, because I'm really loving how once this dries, and I can just put a few of those little, look at that. That is really, this is what I was hoping for, was that I would be able to really get that little shimmer that butterflies have. They have something, I watched a documentary on it, something really special in their little makeups of their bodies that make the color iridescent and pearlescent, kind of like the squash, but nothing can come close to what God does. Sorry guys, gotta talk about God. I can't help it. He's my everything. And I know a lot of y'all love that. so, you know, I don't think this set had a real pearlescent green. Let me look. This is the, by the way, the 60 set of gouache that I showed you before. If some of y'all have tuned in right now, let me show you again. Sorry, I'm shaking my camera again. This 60 set of gouache, I'll zoom out a little bit. It has all these 60 colors. Can't remember the exact price, but it wasn't that bad. But it also has all of these pearl colors or metallic colors. I'm not positive it has all of them, but I think it does. It has a lot of these in it. So if you got a 60 set of gouache, I know that's a lot of gouache to get. No, you don't even need all those colors. But if you did, these are part of it. But you can get this little 12 set separately as well. No, I'm not doing something specifically for Arteza right now. I just had these colors. Those do look a little bulbous right there, though. I'm gonna smooth them out a little bit. And they will dry, but I think I had a little bit too much water in there. Okay. So I was looking to see if there was a more of a pearlescent green. They have this emerald green, but I really wanted one that was, is that the one that I had up there? I don't know if I used that one. Let me see. Yeah, I had it out. Let's see what it looks like. Ooh, see, no, it's not green enough. And I don't even think, I didn't have it out there, but I'm gonna add a little bit of that here, okay? And that's what I was saying about make sure you know, clean your top off before you put the cap back on so you don't have a mess. And I'm gonna take that. What I'm trying to do is get a little bit more of this pearly green right in there. I'm gonna add some of that color with this color, this really bright green, and see if I can make it happen. And you see I got color all over this thing here. These little plastic things are really great. You just wash them out. And, but I really like porcelain palettes. Oh yeah, see that for watercolor? Kind of goes like that. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Another one here. Then there's a little bit of this green in here. I kind of got that a little too wet, and what it does is it starts to lift up the paint. So I'm gonna have to let that dry. I added too much water to that other blue, so that's why it looks kind of spotty there. So make sure you don't get too heavy-handed with the water like I did. Oh yeah, these are pretty colors. Okay, let's see, where else do I have some of that? Right here on this little ridge. There's a little more light on that edge there. And I feel like yeah, the black, there's more of a little shape to that right there that I'll have to develop. I can add some dark and paint negatively around that. But it's getting there. It's looking like a butterfly. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. Once again, I got a little too much water on certain sections there, and I'm gonna come back in and develop some of this. But I still wanna keep it really loose. It doesn't have to have specific edges. Now my gouache is starting to dry a little bit, but like I said, it's not that big of a deal because you can kind of re-wet it. Also too, when I have to walk away for a while, if I got tired or my husband's hungry and wants lunch, I take a little piece of plastic wrap and wrap it over my little palette, and it'll keep it a little more fresh when I come back to it. I do the same thing with acrylic, and you can also get a little spritzer of water, one of those, the ones that are real fine mist. Just lightly spray a little water on it and then put your plastic wrap on it, and that really helps. Okay, so I'm getting some of these colors in here. I'm gonna mix that red with a little bit of this pretty, it's almost like an Indian yellow. That's pretty. I need more paper towels. Hang on, guys. Okay, I'm walking back. Now I can see the camera. Hey, I got 63 of you guys on here, or 61 now. Lost a few when I walked away. Okay, well, I've been painting a while, huh? So I think I'm gonna do a little bit more here. And No, I'm just gonna paint. I'm gonna keep painting. I'm not worried about whether or not I'm gonna stop or stop the film. I'm just gonna keep painting. All right, so here's that pretty color. I'm gonna get a little bit more of this red. There was a little bit more of that red in here like that. Oh yeah, that's so pretty. And it's a little darker than what I'm painting here, so I'm gonna come back and add a little bit more of that burnt sienna or something to it to darken it up. Okay, I'm gonna quit talking just for a second so that I can pay attention to these shapes. And I knew we were gonna get a commercial on my Pandora there.
Requirements can cause treatment delays for patients or even prescription abandonment altogether. CoverMyMeds can help.
Okay, now it's starting to lighten up a little bit more as it goes in there, so I'm gonna add a little bit more of the yellow.
From electronically submitting prior authorization
It's drying up a little bit. Get a little more. There we go. That's a little bit more yellow. By the way, if you didn't see, it was one of my latest videos on using 12 colors to paint this painting. It had an excellent little example at the beginning of just color and color theory in general, and it was really, really geared towards beginners. I got a little something in the paint there, a little fleck of something there. So check that out if you'd like to know a little bit more about color theory. Okay, yeah, this has a little bit more red in it. I feel like I got too much water in my paint again. Isn't that relaxing with that music? Now there's some really light yellows in here. I was trying to use the like this kind of Indian yellow color here, and it still wasn't quite light enough. So I think what I'm gonna do is come in and grab some of that little pearly colored, the one that was eucalyptus. You see how that looks like it's just shimmery? I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if we can get up here. I don't know if with this filming or lighting you can see. It's like a little shimmery color. And I think I'm gonna add a little bit of that to this yellow to see if I can lighten it up a bit. Yeah, there we go. See that? It gave that little shimmer I was looking for. It's like there's two of those, on one on each wing. And my paint's a little wet again. Yeah, see, it's just pulling the paint off when it gets too wet. What I've done is I've wet the gouache enough to kind of re-wet it, and I still have too much water in it. Let's see if this will work. Yeah, that's a little better. That was a short song. Okay. Then I've got little bits of like lighter color, just kind of working its way in and out of some of these little patterns. And like I said before, I'm wanting to get the general anatomy right, but I'm not that worried about everything having the perfect line, because what that's going to do, if I have it so perfect, it's going to look very stiff. And I really want this butterfly to look free and light, you know, not light like in value, light like his wings are light. Okay, I need a little more of that iridescent, but you see how that lightening up those wings down there and adding this little pearly color, it's really kind of neat. Oh yeah, there we go. I am liking these metallic gouache, and I think the way they make metallic things think it's with stones, like with mica. You know how nature has just some elements that are shiny, sparkly. Now, this is a color I can use to make that little ridge. Remember I said there's some little ridges in there? Think of them as little mountains that are going that way. And the top ridge is going to have a little bit lighter because the light's hitting it. So like right here, if you can see that, let me back up and see. Yeah, I'm gonna zoom in a little more. I didn't realize I was zoomed back so far. That's probably why I've lost a few of you guys. There we go. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, there we go. Is that better, guys? Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit of this light. Now it's black right down in there, and then as it goes up into the butterfly's wing, it gets lighter, like right in there. And it goes up just through to that yellow part. Ooh, and you got that a little thick there. Whatever. Okay, and then there's a little bit of that same thing kind of happening right in there. And then a little bit right in here. Just a little bit on that light ridge. And now I don't have enough water in there. Add a little more water so that I can, so it'll flow better. There we go. And now there's another one over here. You see that little bit of that light ridge right there. So I'm still using this pearlescent gouache by Arteza, and this particular color, which I love, it's light, it's called Pearl Eucalyptus. I actually just bought a watercolor that I really have wanted for a long time, and I finally got it. It's a color called Eucalyptus. I think it's by Daniel Smith. Okay, I'm trying to kind of follow where that middle ridge is right there. The song is like emotional. It's not flowing real good in that one spot. Let's see if I can get it. There we go, that's a little better. And it's a little lighter right in here. See, I'm finding this eucalyptus color is great for just adding that sheen in certain places. If you keep it thin enough, not too thin, it adds that little iridescent feel to it. And I'm gonna soften the edge with that too. Yeah, oh yeah, this is so fun. Well, this was a great experiment for me. I had no idea I was going to be enjoying this that much. Now I think I'm even going to take a little bit of this pearlescent eucalyptus color because it makes such a nice sheen. And you see on these wings, I mean, I've got that nice blue color there, but I think I'm going to add those little ridges I was talking about. Got to get the right amount of water. It's still not quite watery enough. And again, just like I said earlier, the more you do this stuff, the more you learn about how to control the amount of water. I've truly made every mistake, and gradually you do start to learn these things just from practice. Okay, there's another little ridge right there. You see how that's making it feel a little three-dimensional? And I'm going to do the same thing over here. There's a ridge over here. It's almost more where that light part is really just showing on the areas of the teal. This one gets really light back in there. Same thing like right in here. There's a little ridge right there. A little teeny one right there, not too much. And not as much up here. It's starting to shimmer. There's a little one right here. I really like this eucalyptus color. Little one right down in there. Another little ridge right up here. I'm losing some of my paint now. I hope you guys are having a great Saturday. Saturday is my favorite day. Always has been. I'm just looking at areas where I might have a little bit of highlight. Um, I'm trying to highlight it but not lose the color. And you can see it if you look in this wing. You can see where those little light areas are. They're just in those little places where the wing has like a little mountain area. I feel like I need more dark in there. I could shape things up a little bit more in that. Okay, I'm gonna do a little bit more on the body now. Even though it's dark, I feel like it just looks a little flat. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of this Prussian blue and some raw umber. And they are starting to dry up a little bit. Here we go. I just wanted to neutralize the blue a little bit. Let's see what this looks like, yeah. I think I'm gonna make his head stand out more by negatively painting around it. I'm gonna do a little bit more to this background. And then at the final touch, I'll add those, I'm gonna have to use a liner brush to do his little antenna. Let me find my liner brush. A liner brush is a brush that has a long, skinny, if I can find it, a long, skinny bristles to it. Well, it must have dropped somewhere. But it's so thin and so long that you can get little fine lines and real gestural lines with it. You can't get those little teeny lines with a regular brush unless it has a super, super, super fine point. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little bit more of this in here. And he's got a few little ridges in here. I don't want them all to be exactly the same. Where'd my music go? Come on. There we go. All right, it's looking good. Now, I think since I have that kind of dark color mixed up right there, where did I put it? Right in here. I'm going to reshape. I like it with the Prussian blue. Reshape some of these little forms that kind of lost their edges. Like right in here, let's see if this is the right color. Yeah, that's good. This kind of comes in. I didn't have these shapes just right. And this one, it comes up, but then this is again called negative painting, where I'm painting around it rather than painting the shape. I'm painting the edges around the shape. Like this one here, it didn't come out quite as far as I had done it. And then this one comes out a little bit. And you can train yourself to be able to see, I call it like painting or drawing or painting by spatial relationships, which means you're just comparing one object to another one, and you get to where you just kind of do it naturally. I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but I've gotten better over the years. Now this one is one I kind of want to reshape. I think, let me look. Actually, I think I need to add more coming down there. And then, let's see, yeah, this came in a little more there. But see how I'm kind of reshaping them by negatively painting. Be patient when you're painting. One of the hardest things is when you first start painting, you feel like it's supposed to start looking like a piece of art right away, and it's not. It's going to go through some of those awkward stages. They call them like the teenage years. Now I'm still feeling like I don't have enough green. I just kind of backed up. You see this gorgeous yellowy green? That's in that Arteza set. And I just feel like I want a little bit more of that in there. Yeah, I like it. Should probably put my glasses back on. I can't really see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, there we go. See how I got some of that green in there? Just a hint, so it really brightens that up. A little bit of that too far down there. Okay, and this side doesn't have quite as much green in it like that, but I am gonna add a little bit just to have it a little bit consistent. This even has a little green in it, but it's coming along. I do have all of the original footage of this that I recorded. So because I don't do live a lot, I can't remember what the quality is like of the footage that I'm creating right now, but I'm going to try to put it all together in one video to put on the on Monet Cafe. I'm going to grab a little more of that dark, wherever it was. And this right here is a little misshapen. Ooh, that's a lot of water on there. Better leave that alone. If I rub that too much, it'll start pulling paint off. Okay, I'm gonna back up, guys. It's getting there. I feel like I need to develop things in here a little bit more. It's a little spacious or something. I'm gonna grab a little bit more of this pretty pearlescent color. This is the Aqua Blue Pearlescent Arteza Gouache, and I'm gonna get some of that in here. And I'm just looking at these shapes. It's just little shapes. Little trees, little happy trees. Who remembers Bob Ross? You know, it's funny, I probably shouldn't say this. I wasn't a big fan of Bob Ross's paintings, but just him in particular. Everybody loved his peaceful spirit. Okay, see how I'm just putting a little of that pearlescent blue kind of in and about. There's some like, almost like little dots things in here. All right, while I have it, let's see if we got any more we can add over here. Remember I said these on the bottom had more teal to them, and these up top had more green until you got to the edges of the wings there. Okay, so let me go here. Yeah, I'm just having fun, adding some little shapes here and there. Feels like there's a little teal kind of right where it comes up on the edges there. The value's just a little bit darker, so I thought I'd add that. Okay, now let's develop this a little more. There is a little bit of a lighter, that kind of brownish color that it feels like the light's just catching on it. So let me just mix some of that up here. And gonna add a little bit of this, probably just a tad of that yellow. That might be too much. Where did I mix my brown at? I can't remember. Was it here? Yeah, okay. Oh, I think it needed more of the red. I'm looking at this color right here, and it's got a little bit of reddish tones to it. Maybe even a little bit more of that. And like I said before, this gouache is kind of drying up now because this has taken a while. There we go. But that's okay. It just gets a little film on it. That's probably too light, but it's not too light for this part, I bet. Let's see right here. Okay, actually I can go even a little lighter. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a little of that color I keep talking about. That pearlescent color is great for lightening things up. Yeah, see that? It just made the nice little light color. And that light even went up in here just a little bit. Right down there. And then there's a little light kind of on the sides of those ridges. Kind of following things down with my eyes to see where something goes from the little patterns. Oh, I hear my little doggy tip-tapping in here. Jackson? Oh, I shut the door because my husband was talking on the phone so loudly in the room. Jackson, you want to come in? Hang on. He's not used to me shutting the door. Hold on. Jackson, you want to come in? Come on, buddy. You can come in. Doing a live stream, Jackson. Sorry, my camera's shaking. Okay, so this is coming along. I'm going to back up and take a look. What would I want to do now? This looks a little misshapen here. I need to add a little bit more of these orangey colors down there. And then I think I'm going to go ahead and add that little outer glow. Maybe. I do want to do more to the background. I like that it's loose, but I think I want to just give it a little more substantial color there, or not quite so loose. Okay, so let's see here. I was going to work on this little area right in there. Okay, sorry for the commercials. I have Pandora going. And I'm glad YouTube doesn't. Oh, I just thought of something though. When I go back to, if I want to share this footage in a whole video, I'm going to definitely have to get rid of this music because I can't share any music that has a copyright to it. So I'll put my own little non-copyright music on it. Okay, see how this has these little shapes and things. I'm just kind of suggesting them here and there. I think this is getting to where it's playing the same songs all over and over and over again. Oops, got that a little too dark there. But this needs a little more of that orange right there. And you see I've just suggested it, those little ridges, just enough. That one's probably too light right there. I need to come back, and this one too right here. Let me see if I can soften that up a little bit. And I don't have all the dots and the spots and everything in the exact places, but they're close. Yeah, I'm gonna fix that one right now. Let me go back and get a little bit of that dark that I had before. It's kind of it's like a little brownish, rusty color. This might be too light. No, it's okay. And there's actually some of these little lighter colors kind of in here. I added that little pearlescent color again just to lighten it up. It almost acts as a really nice, almost like a neutral white. That's too light though. Well, that song ended abruptly. guess I got tired of talking, huh? This is that Prussian blue again. Sometimes too, I grab a color, even if it's already dried up, you can kind of remix it. I wanted to neutralize it a little bit, and I had a little bit of that brown there, so it worked. And notice, again, I haven't done any real hard edges in this because it's a butterfly and their wings are really, really delicate. All right, another sip of coffee. Y'all let me know again if you like this very impromptu, spontaneous YouTube live that I just went, why not? I'm just gonna do it. Let me know if that's okay with you guys, because it really is probably the best way I'm ever gonna be able to do more live streams with my crazy life. It's hard for me to plan things. We have so many obstacles. I know a lot of you guys can probably relate to life just being crazy lately. My dad just got COVID, and he's gotten over it pretty good. I mean, he's not totally done, but for 82, he's done pretty great. And other people I know have gotten sick, and so you just never know. Life is just really unpredictable. But hey, we press on and we overcome and we find the beauty in everything. My favorite Bible verse, or one of them, is Romans 8:28. It says, all things work together for good. Now, that's not the end of it, because certainly not all things work together for good, but it says, all things work together for good to them who are the called according to his purpose. Okay, so God will find a way to work something good, even in tragic circumstances. And I've experienced some circumstances that, like anybody could say, why God, why? And then given enough time, I saw something come out of it that I'm like, wow, well, that might have been the only way that could have happened. So anyway, you guys know me and my faith. I can't help but share it. It's just me, and it's part of me, and it's part of my art. All right, I do feel like this is a little bright compared to everything else, and I'm squinting my eyes here. This needs to come in a little more there. I'm gonna add a little dark right there, and I don't have to be this specific with it, but when something feels a little off, I'm gonna go ahead and try to get it right. Yeah, see how they're kind of going like that? And that one was just a little too high up there. That's better. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit more of this pearlescent aqua blue to some of this. I felt like I got it a little too green in there. I'm just dotting it in a little bit. I had a little bit too much water on it. Yeah, that's better. And then it's a little darker. Like I said, where those little valleys are, it gets a little bit darker. Okay, it's starting to look like a butterfly. All right, this is a little weak right in there. Let me fix that a little bit. And I don't mind that there's some areas that are kind of broken and subdued. I like a little of the shimmer over here. I think for that, I don't want to do too much, but I think I'm going to use that, maybe this pearlescent color I just grabbed, which is the emerald green. And I'm just pulling a little bit of it off with my brush. I don't want it too wet or too dry. Yeah, oh, nice. I'm going to add even a little bit of this aqua blue to it. kind of in between both of those. There's a couple little shimmery highlights over here. I think that I can add more of this eucalyptus pearlescent color that I've been using so much. It's funny, that was a color that I was like, oh, that's not what I would have thought. Here, see what the color looks like on. I love this color. It's a nice neutral color. And when I opened the tube up, I was like, man, that's so light. That's almost white. But it has become one of the best little colors for this butterfly painting to get just a little sheen, because the sheen is light. But if I added white there, it would have looked so artificial. But this little pearlescent color of eucalyptus is just really the right touch. Let me just grab it and add a little touch of it. If you can see, I've made a total mess of all my paints here. That's kind of how I paint though. You see that little sheen? I'm gonna go in a little closer so you can see it. I'm gonna zoom in real quick right now so you can see this sheen. I'm gonna move over to this wing. Sorry for the shaky, don't go anywhere, it'll get better. Okay, let me raise it up a little bit. Bear with me, guys. I'm a one-man show, remember? All right, it's gonna shake for a little bit. But now I'm grabbing that little pearlescent color. And if it seems a little bit too bright, I can just add a little bit of this aqua color to it. So what I'm gonna do, there's these little areas of the wing that have just a little bit more light to them. I'm gonna get just the pearl so you can see it better. Okay, you see that? And then right here, there's a little of it, see that? That's pretty cool. And it gives that impression of iridescence. It's not quite that light right there. Just knock it off a little bit. And then I can grab just the pure aqua blue if I want to get that a little brighter somewhere. I hope I'm still in view here. But I tell you what, even though something that looks this detailed, maybe challenging, you'd think it would stress you out to paint, this has relaxed me. Maybe it's kind of like you do a puzzle. You know, you sit down to do a puzzle and you're focused, but it takes your mind off everything else in life, you know? Oh, and now I'm backing up and oops, sorry guys, sorry. When I back up, that really did cause the butterfly's wings to have that sheen to it. Okay, I think I'm gonna start working a little bit more now on that little glow. There's a little glow around the wings here. I'm gonna turn the music down just a little bit. And then I wanna, pardon me for walking away. Then I want to do something to the background, okay? The background's a little splotchy right now. Okay, so let's get that little glow around the wings. And it's pretty light. You know what? I'm almost tempted to do the background first. You know what? I think I am. I'm gonna do the background before this glow. Here's my reasoning. If I go a little darker with the background and I don't go all the way into the edges, it's gonna kind of give me that little bit of a lighter glow that I can, you know, I can brighten it up if I want to. So what am I gonna do for this background, okay? One thing I know is I don't wanna use a little brush, because guess what? If I tried to use this little brush for the background, for one, it's gonna be too tight. It's just gonna look too tight. For two, you're gonna kind of get lines that, you know, are little. So I'm gonna use this bigger wide brush. This is the brush that I used to create the background that is here. And I literally painted the butterfly in negatively with this brush. I didn't try to paint the butterfly and then put the background in other words. So I think what I'm gonna do, I do like some of the colors that, even though this printout is, you know, the colors are a little different than the photo even, I like some of the subtleties to that. Notice up here, this is a little bluer and this is a little warmer. That's kind of neat to me. So what I'm gonna do, I've run out of room on this silly little palette here. So I think I'm gonna get another palette that I can just put some color in. Like one of these little plastic things, okay? These are so cheap. I was mentioning before about the porcelain palettes that I really like. Let me show you those real quick. I think I have paint in it. I do. But these are porcelain palettes. They're made of porcelain. I got mine on, I think Dick Blick. I think you can also get them on Amazon. This is watercolor in here. Watercolor you can re-wet, okay? Just like you use watercolor in dry form. If you buy it in the tubes and you put it in your little palettes, you can re-wet it and use it again. I do it all the time. But these, the great thing about porcelain palettes is they clean up like super white. I mean, they just clean really great. And they're heavy. You can sit them on your easel or wherever you're working, and they don't slide around all over the place. Whereas, let me set these back again. Whereas these little plastic palettes, see, I've used this one before. They don't clean up super great, but it doesn't matter. It's paint, okay? So, but they're light. They'll slide around all over the place. So I'm gonna mix up some color in these, a decent amount of color, so that I can just go ahead and paint away. So let me do that. And I'm gonna have to hurry up here because, you know, I've been standing here painting a while and I've had a lot of coffee. So I'm probably gonna have to go to the bathroom in a minute. Hey, it's real honest on this channel. All right, so it's nice and light, right? Now, because I want the butterfly to sparkle, and when I'm all done with this live stream, I'm gonna go in and do a little bit more to this. But because I want him to be the star of the show, I'm not gonna use any of the iridescence. I'm not going to use any of these pearlescent colors for the background. That's reserved for this guy or gal here. So I want to use just regular gouache, and I think I might even get some fresh out of the tube. So let me pick out some colors real quickly from my big old set. Let me see, where did I put those? Oh, I put those colors over here. Okay, bear with me, guys. I'm coming back, I promise. I'm picking out some yellows, some blues, some burnt umber, and there's one called White Rose. Let's see, is that a pearlescent color? Yeah, it's a pearl color. Ice blue, that's what I'll do. That'll lighten it up. Okay, so here are some of the colors that I'm choosing for the background. See, I've already got the neutral color in there, but it's showing the paper through, which I don't mind. I kind of like that loose look. I just feel like it needs a little more. So I'm gonna make it a little bit more opaque, in other words. So I've got me a blue, okay, that'll cool things off. I've got me a mid yellow that'll warm things up. I may grab a little bit of this this red or orangey color also. I've got a burnt umber, which is nice and neutral, and I got an ice blue. I didn't have a white over there, so that's the colors I'm gonna use. So let me mix up. I'm just gonna put some of these in the little paint palettes here. Oh, I knew those were two in there. I kept feeling like that was a little thick and I couldn't get them apart. So, all right, so let's put some ice blue in here. There's ice blue. See, that is such a nice, it's almost a periwinkle, a super light periwinkle color. Oh, that's so pretty. I like that. Almost could use just that. That's a nice color. And I'm just going to be using, because I want it kind of light, I'm just going to be using hints of other colors. I almost don't even need this blue because that has that hint of blue. I'm going to hold off on that. I'm going to get this mid yellow to get some of these colors down in here. Mid yellow. And that's a real strong color. Now, I noticed that Arteza doesn't always name their colors, some of the traditional names. I would say this was like an Indian yellow if you're more used to some of the traditional colors. And here's a burnt umber. Now this is dark, but it's all I would need is a smidgen. It's just gonna neutralize some things, and if I don't want it quite that light. Okay, so let's try those. And like I said, I might grab a little bit of that red. So let's mix up something for this background. I'm getting my big brush. Now these are nice and wet, okay? Meaning they fresh out of the tube is what I mean by that. So there's a nice color there. I have a little water in my brush. And do I want a little more blue? I think I can add it from like my palette down here. Yeah, just added a little ultramarine blue, okay? But it's still, I want a little neutrality to it. So you can neutralize things a little bit by adding, like, see how that's more neutral now? But I'm gonna add a little more of this, and let's see what that looks like. This might be too wet. No, that's pretty good. Yeah, it is a little wet. I'm gonna dab some of the water off my brush. I'm gonna add more. Little teeny bit of that. And that's almost good right there. Yeah, I like that. And I like letting the paint kind of mix on the palette, on the surface. This is what I talk about, almost negative painting. I'm painting around the edges. And here's where I want to go in and develop that head a little more with some negative painting. But like I said before, you might think, oh, why are you using that big old brush? It's going to give me more of those lost edges, which I don't want an edge that's like a line, like if I got a thin brush and made a line. There's a difference between a line and an edge. An edge is really more like where two values meet. A line is more like just a line you draw with a pencil or whatever. Now, I like a strategy in art where have you heard of something called an ellipse? It's what you can do. A lot of filters offer it. But it's where the edges are just a little darker than, kind of like in this, just this kind of raw umber color. A little darker around the edges. And what it does is it creates this focal point strategy. Your eyes are going to be drawn to the lighter value in the center more than the darker value. Now I am going to feel like I do want a little bit more of this blue here. I'm getting the ultramarine blue, not the Prussian blue. Just a little, it's kind of dried up, but I'm going to grab some of that. I'll mix it right here. This is going to be my darker perimeter. See how that's a little darker? It's a little darker in here too, but I'm not going to do it too much darker. And I like the brush strokes. I think they're fun. I do need a little more water here. That's one of the tricks, is learning how much water to paint ratio. And I've already said it just in this little lesson a bunch of times, is that's just one of those things you get better the more you do it. Oh yeah, that's such a nice neutral color. One of the reasons I kind of wanted to go neutral with the surroundings of this butterfly is that is another focal point strategy. If everything is a bright color, then nothing gets the attention. So I want my bright colors to really get the focal point attention. And I like my strokes kind of coming outward like that. Makes it feel like it's following the energy of the wings, how they come out like that. Yeah, that's kind of fun. I like that. All right, I think I am going to add a little bit more up in here. I went a little bit lighter here. I'm going to come back in with a smaller brush and develop that negative space around his head. Okay. A little bit of that. This is the only colors I'm finding I'm needing is these ice blue and the, I think it's the raw umber is what it is. Yeah, I'm even making it a little more neutral. And as I've been saying, sorry for the commercial over there, as I've been saying, the gouache paint, what's so neat about it is it's opaque, so you can layer. I think I'll worry about making my dark ellipse after I get all the paint in. Or not dark, darker. I love that little soft edge of that butterfly wing. This is an instance where I've said that sometimes I'll use my opposite hand. It's just so much easier to reach this. And it's a really good idea to work with your non-dominant hand. You'll find that a lot of times you can create fresh, oops, I'm moving my whole easel. You can create fresh strokes. I hope I have that zoomed in enough. I think I'm going to zoom in a little bit more for you guys. Let's zoom in just a little bit more. Is that better? Somebody say yay, amen. I wish I could hear y'all. That would help me because I can't come back and look at the comments very much. Okay, so what I was saying is using your non-dominant hand is a really great way, not just for the convenience of me being able to reach something better, but also because you often find you have your strokes in more interesting ways. We get in patterns when we paint, and that's a little lighter than the other, but that's okay. And we want to have strokes that are full of energy and life. Man, I tell you what, when a good song comes on, like this peaceful song, there's just nothing like it. When you're just painting, looking at something from God's creation, and hearing the beautiful music, man, God gave us so many amazing gifts. What if He didn't give us color? You know, what if He didn't give us music? He was just so good. He is so good. What if we didn't have taste buds? Now, this has gotten gradually a little lighter as I'm going around, so I'm going to add a little bit more of this raw umber there. And it's okay if it's not all exactly the same. I think that adds to the beauty of it. It's a lot lighter now. Oh, I love this song. I don't know the name of it, but man, I love this song. Yeah, see, that got a lot darker. It's a little dance, you know? A paint dance. But see how that neutral color really makes his colors show more? And when you use a large brush like this, your lost edges, like I like to call them, painterly edges, are more painterly than if I got this teeny little brush. They just look more alive and random and beautiful, like nature. So, I am going to go back and read all these comments if there's anybody watching, and let me know if you would like a few more gouache videos. I know I got some great feedback when I did a watercolor tutorial. It was I called it intuitive watercolor, and a little lighter in there, make that show up, and you guys really, a lot of y'all really liked that. I like watercolor painting, and so I want to do a little more of that. But, you know, like I say, I'm a one girl show, a one old woman show. Sometimes it is hard for me to do all of this. One of the things that's most time consuming is editing all the videos. And then one of the parts that I love it's time consuming is talking to all you guys, answering your questions, especially my patrons. If you're a patron of mine, on my Patreon page, I definitely take more time with my patrons because they're supporting this channel. They're why this free live stream thing is even happening, because I certainly couldn't keep up all these free videos without the support. So God bless you, patrons. I'm so grateful. Oh, I like this song too. Now, sometimes your brush will get a little, I don't know, little ridges it starts to show. And often I'll just let the paint dry before I fuss with that too much, or it can get really frustrating. But oh, I just backed up, and that does look, that looks pretty much like a butterfly. What do you think? That was fun. Okay, so I think I'm going to end this live stream, like I said, because I have had a lot of coffee. I probably need a little break. But please do me a favor and like this and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this random live stream. I think if I do live streams in the future, it will be on Saturdays when I can just paint something I want to paint and have you guys just join in with me. So subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and if you'd like to support this channel, you can do so on my Patreon page. I have all those links in the description of all my videos, including this live stream. So Thank you guys for joining me, and God bless. Aw, thank you. I'm looking at some of your comments now while I turn this off. I gotta take my phone out of the case so I can actually stop the live stream. Let me zoom in a little more. I'm pulling back a little bit here so you can see it. There we go. There we go. I think before I close the live stream, I'll do a little pan of all of these products here. Here's Mr. Butterfly. And like I said, I am going to do a little more. I'm going to develop his head a little bit, add the antennas, and I'll share it on here when I'm done. Here's the crazy mess. Oh, hi, CH Paint. See, now I can look at some of these comments. I missed the beginning. I'll need to go back. Good. I hope you will. That's awesome. And now here's my water thing I had. Okay. And this is that one color I talked about a lot, this eucalyptus pearlescent gouache. That really helped me a lot with some of these little shimmery parts of the butterfly. And while I'm not ending this live stream yet, let me go back and show you my crazy little studio. That's my ring light. This is where I film or put my camera in to film. And it's awesome because it controls not only the intensity of the light, it controls the temperature. If I press this little button here, I can change it from warm to cool. Can you see that? So that's really nice. I have a lot of my studio products in my Amazon shop. You can find a link to my Amazon shop in the description of this video or every video. This is a nice little area. It's a mess in here. I'm sorry, I shouldn't even be showing this, where I have a lot of my pastels. I have this drawer with a lot of my pastel papers. Man, I'm going crazy with the live stream today, huh? I thought, why not? I'll just show you all this stuff. Backing up here. And this is a table I got. It's a craft table that everybody has asked, oh, where did you get that? Well, it's discontinued. It's this awesome table I got from American Signature, and it gives me all this room underneath for storage. And these fold up if you want the top to be smaller. It's got storage over here. This over here is where I edit all the videos. And there's my goal board. I'm a goal kind of gal. And, oh, and this table over here that I was working on is one I just did the recent video for. I think it says amazing table for home art studios. And it really is. I really love it. It's got a nice drawer here. But what's awesome is it has all these little plugs. Oh, this is what's awesome about it. I'm not going to do it now. It raises and lowers. Okay. So sometimes I want to sit, I press a button and I can sit. Okay, before I go off of live, I'm going to go over here, show you the other side. That's another view I have, or another easel I have, and more books and pastels, and I love these little art caddies. Here is my little baby gallery in my house, and it's kind of dark, but there's my bathroom. But anyway, I love these little shelves where I can put my paintings. And this is where I keep a lot of my stuff that's in my Etsy shop. And now I got a shipping department. I reclaimed another bedroom, and this is my shipping department. So anyway, that's it. You guys got a whole lot. You got more than painting even. So, all right, guys, God bless. Thanks for watching my butterfly. Now I'm going to have to go and find out what the actual name of this type of butterfly is. All right, guys, God bless.